Our next keynote speaker session is powered by HTEC. I heard some information that you really like their workshop this morning. HTEC Group is a technology consulting and development company headquartered in San Francisco, California, with regional offices and development centers in the Nordics, the UK, the Netherlands, and Southeast Europe, Serbia, Slovenia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and North Macedonia. HTEC turned impossible into the art of possible. How? By combining these three things: bringing cutting-edge technologies across the region, working with the most disruptive business leaders on groundbreaking projects, and third, providing unique career development opportunities. They say that is three-way career path, and you can ask them more about that later. In less than a decade, HTEC has grown from a group of dozen to an organization that counts more than 1,000 of engineers, business analysts, consultants, and cross-domain experts in more than 12 offices in the region and globally. HTEC Group has been present in Bosnia and Herzegovina for 2 years now, starting in Banja Luka, where they now hire more than 80 engineers and experts. And this year, HTEC Group opened 3 new development centers in Bosnia and Herzegovina, in Tuzla, here, Sarajevo, and Bijeljina. I want to thank them once again for being platinum sponsor and sponsor of this session. The next keynote speaker is Darko Todorovic. He is Vice President of Engineering and Delivery at HTEC. He oversees delivery, and he is responsible for lead conversation, customer onboarding, and tech excellence. Darko has a special interest in the application of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and data science in business I'm so sorry, my tongue got wrong. Digitalization, improving organizational and business process efficiency across industries with a deep specialization in Internet of Things and robotics. It is a great honor to invite Darko to join us on the stage and lead this keynote session on the topic Digital Transformation, Myth versus Reality.
Hello, hi. First of all, thank you for the great introduction. It's always difficult to hear about myself. So I have a little bit of a struggle with microphones. They told me that I need to stand here because we have the audience over the internet, so I'll try to stand still. But I used to go all around the stage. So first of all, thank you for being on the workshop this morning. I must say that what we got in 2 hours from all of you on that workshop is amazing. And I think that we are just going to continue on the story. So I'll take my pointer. Okay. Today's topic is basically digital transformation. So the slides won't go. Okay. Is this the next slide? Yes? Okay. So basically what we have as a digital transformation is a process in which businesses are changing themselves. So why do we need digital transformation? So I'm going to focus only on the last 2 years. In the last 2 years, we have seen the world changing. Why the world changed? Because we had COVID. We completely differently work, collaborate with our colleagues. Then we have big fluctuations in our workforce. We have big fluctuations in the supply chains. So all of these problems just showed us once more that we as a society in the world live connected. So you cannot be disconnected from the people in China, from the people in US, from all of the people in the whole world. We live like a living organism. This is also boils down to the companies themselves. The companies that we work in, that we create, are just small societies which also function and are governed by the laws of the whole society that we have, and also influenced by nature, as we saw in the last 2 years. So what we want to achieve with digital transformation. Digital transformation became a buzzword maybe last 20 years or something like that. But only in the last 2 years, the companies actually realized how important digital transformation was. So, are you going to change the slides? Okay, thank you. So basically, what is digital transformation? If you look from the experiences in the last couple of decades, we have gone through the process of moving from analog world to the digital world. So this process is called digitization. Then we have a process that is called digitalization. Digitalization means that we are doing the same work, so the companies are functioning completely the same, in the same manner, but with the help of the digital tools. So instead of you having a big spreadsheet on the paper, you are having an Excel spreadsheet. So you can search through the information, you can organize information in different ways, but basically how information flows from one department into the company to the other department is completely the same. So we didn't change anything. The services that we are providing to our customers are completely the same. They are just digital. So instead of us, I'll take Netflix example, for example. So instead of us sharing basically or shipping the DVDs, Netflix started shipping the service of actually getting the movies and series inside of their homes much more easily. This is not such a great example, but basically you get the point. So the third thing that happened is, what is digital transformation? Digital transformation actually means that we are providing completely new value to our customers. If we want to provide new value to our customers, we need to completely change how we work and how we operate. And in order to do that, it's not just using digital tools. So digital transformation is not like, okay, we are going to buy Microsoft solution, ERPs of the world, etc., if we continue doing the same thing as before. What we need to do is completely rethink how we operate, how we change the strategy in our company to make sure that we can provide new value to our customers and thus provide new value to the company and the shareholders of the company themselves. So what do we need to do in order to change the company to be digitally transformed? In order to change the company to be digitally transformed, we need to, first of all, raise the awareness inside of the company. So imagine this situation. You have a company that has an average age of 55 years. They are doing manufacturing of kitchen cabinets. This is a real example. So basically, you have people, 250 people in the middle of America that are doing kitchen cabinets for the last 35 years in one way. They used, over the time, got to use some digital tools. They have some programs. They have programmed it for, I don't know, 35 years. So, but the problem is that we are facing right now and that they are facing is that the tools and the way of working is becoming obsolete. And the competition is eating the market. And because of that, they decided, hey, we want to become digitally transformed. But what that means for them? That means that the person that was working in that company for 35 years or 40 years and have like 5 years to retirement has to change the way of working that they had for 35 years. That's a huge change for these people. So digital transformation starts with the people that are inside of the company. that work on a day-to-day level, because they have norm. They have to do a certain number of steps and produce certain value for the company and for their clients in that one day. And now they have to learn new tool. I don't know if you have, you're pretty younger, so I'll say grandfather and grandmother. When they first got the smartphone, it was quite a tough experience to teach them, basically. And now that person is depending, the family of that person is depending on them, and they need to learn new tools. So first of all, you need to raise the awareness in the company that this is going to happen. The second thing that you need to do is to change the mindset, but not of those people. You're doing that with awareness with them, but the mindset of the people that are running the company. Because they need to understand what is digital transformation and how this is going to help them, but they never did it up until now. So the third thing, because they never did it, they need to build the capability. Usually, they hire some consultants come in and say, hey, this is your 5-year plan. So this year you have to do this, then this, then this, then this. After 6 months of consultancy, they give them the document, they go out, and what happens? These guys like, what? What I'm going to do with this document? I don't know how to read this, I understand it. Maybe I can hire some people that are going to execute this, but I'm not completely sure. And what usually happens, they hire the wrong people. They hire the people with the CV, they hire the people that are CTOs, CIOs. They understand they need to change something in the structure, that IT is not anymore the necessity. It's something that they need to build intrinsically, like a way of working. So you grew up with the mobile phones. They didn't. So they need to learn these new tools, ways of working, etc. So usually this is why digital transformations fail, because they are not digital transformations. They are the second one, digitalization. They introduce new tools, connect them and think, okay, this is digital transformation, but not. The problem is that they didn't create new value. And just a slide before, thank you. The most important thing is that they have, when they build all of these 3 capabilities, and I can say the HTEC Group usually comes in the 3rd part of building the capabilities. We go to a point where we need to seamlessly integrate the solution. Again, going back to the person that is working in that company, you need to develop the empathy with that person and say, hey, this guy or girl or woman will change the way of working completely. So you need to introduce him to the tool, to help him, guide him, and make sure that these people actually adopt the technology in a seamless way, and that if you look at the business is producing the same value for their customers. And over the period of time, that value is going to skyrocket, that's for sure. But the problem, as I told you, the problem is that they usually stop at the third step. And this step is hugely important for the successful digital transformation. We can go to the next slide. So I think that I basically covered what is myth and what is the reality in digital transformation. Usually what happens is that companies hire CIO, this is Chief Information Officer, which has a strategy that is attached to the strategy of the company. Then they find out, hey, we need to buy Microsoft tools, Microsoft Dynamics, etc. So I'm endorsing some of the software vendors right now. But nevertheless, there might be other tools on the market. The problem that we are seeing is the implementation. The problem is we are seeing is the value creation out of those tools. So 80% of the companies that try digital transformation in the last 20 years have failed there. But these companies are now rethinking their strategies. So they are not going to the big companies, IT providers that are going to give them the knowledge, because IT was a necessity. If you take IKEA, for example, or Target, but you're all probably familiar with IKEA. IKEA used to outsource all of their IT. which means all of their software solutions that you can see, online shops, warehouse management solutions, digital tools for creation of the new products, and everything they do worldwide, it was outsourced basically to a couple of big companies that gave them, I don't know, thousands of people that were working on the software solutions. Where is the gap here? The gap is between the necessities of the business, and they were running the business independently from understanding the digital tools and how digital tools can help them. So the problem that we are seeing, they realized that there is a problem. So they decided to insource these people inside of their company. So when you insource the development, this is building of the capability, the third point. The problem is, if you're in Stockholm, I ask you, would you rather work in IKEA, IT department, or in Spotify? Who's up for Spotify? That's the thing. They don't have the brand, or they don't have the sexiness of the projects that you can work on as you can have them in Spotify. So the brightest minds are not going to go there. They're going to go to Spotify, they're going to Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, not so popular these days, but nevertheless people go there to work there as well. So the thing is that they are lacking technical capabilities to implement these strategies on the long term. So this is the point, and this is the best place where I can say that we from the HTEC Group are coming in to actually help them realize that vision on the longer term. And I think that if anyone from here, and we have a couple of colleagues here in the back rows, joins HTEC, you will have the opportunity to work on such projects. So can we go to the next slide? When do we finish digital transformation? Basically, never. Digital transformation now, from these days into the future, will never stop. And it's going to be called differently. It's not going to be digital transformation for the generation, for your generation, because you were born with digital products. So what we need to achieve in these companies is actually to have the permanent staff in these companies that is going to basically completely transform how that company is built up and progressed. And you will see that many of the companies that got disrupted through this period is going to be completely changed. And one of the important points here as well is that this digital transformation is not a revolution. It's not something that you're going to do once, finish it in a 5-year plan, and that's it. This is something that you are going to build over time. There is one use case or one case study that I wanted to share with you, which I think is going to be more interesting. The people that were on the workshop this morning actually heard this story, but nevertheless I want to repeat it again because I think it's a very nice example of what digital or successful digital transformation can be and can do for the companies, and how valuable this could be for those companies. Next slide, please. So we have been working with a company that's called Stena Bulk. Stena Bulk is a shipping operator company that is transporting oil all around the world. I know oil is not so great subject in the world right now when we are trying to lower down the pollution, but you will see that we did something very, very good also for the whole world and for the society. So you can see in my t-shirt here it says engineering a better future. We really tried to engineer a better future. So, and you will see how we did it with this company. Maybe we can move to the next slide. So the Stena is one of those companies in this very traditional industry that is always on the edge. Basically, they want to be the first ones to be digital. They want to be the first ones to have the AI solution in their daily operations. They want to be the first one to reach climate changes and climate goals for 2030 to 2050, to lower down the pollution of the oceans, of the air, and they are really on the cutting edge of technology when it comes to that, both in the shipping, both in the operations. In 2016, we got approached by them with simple video of 5 minutes. Their CEO is a really eccentric guy, and he likes to be the main star in the videos. So basically, they wanted to have to be the first cognitive company, shipping company, by the end of 2021. So we are now at the end of 2021. What that meant for them, it meant that they want to completely transform how they work on a daily level, so that they can leverage the data that they gather from different sources to create new value for their customers. How we help them do that? Basically, we had to navigate 3 things. One thing is to navigate their wishes and to say, hey, technology can do this, 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 but these holograms that you want are not going to add you value. It's fancy on the video, but the holograms are basically unusable at all. The second thing, we needed to navigate the people inside the organization. And the third thing, we needed to understand the shipping industry in and out. And this is one of the points that is really important for digital transformation. You need to know your business. You need to know the domain in which you're working. So we were presented with the challenge. We went into the challenge, and to be honest, from this perspective, if I was Stena, I wouldn't give us that opportunity to work on that. So I think that basically in 2016 we were clueless. But there was something that they trusted us. So basically, we started working with them, creating the solution, and after 2 years or something like that, we had a simple dashboard, and we had something like this. So what you see here, you can recognize the world map, I guess, yeah. And all of these arrows or dots that you can see are basically just the, I'll have to do it like this. So all of these arrows that you can see are vessels. This is a snapshot in time. So these are all of the vessels in certain segments. Let's say that we have around 8,000 vessels here. Today you have them around 9,000. All of these vessels are actually going somewhere. And for all of these, we can get the information, which company they are owned by, what cargo they have, and we can estimate, based on certain data parameters, etc., where they are going. And we know if they are full or they are empty. So these are the type of information that you can buy online. There are a couple of more things that you can get, but definitely this is the most important. So we saw this and we saw, hey, there are some patterns, you know, there are some highways, if you can see on the map. Probably the most of the vessels are going through these waters. They are going through in this way. You can see that they go around the continents, and then you have a couple of highways where they're frequently going. But there was another pain point. So this looked interesting at one point. Hey, we could maybe find a solution to see where the vessels are going, how they are going to perform, etc. And but there was another pain point. In their business, basically the phones are still the main communication channel. So what they did is they got an email or they got a phone call from the broker, and broker said, hey, I have a cargo that has to be picked up here and to be transported either west or east. They don't get the destination at all. So they say it's either west or east. And then they say, okay, I can take the cargo probably. I need to check. I will get back to you. And then they get back to the broker in 3 hours to 3 days, because they need to see, do they have vessels, are they empty, not empty, etc. And the broker goes to 10 other competitors and asks the same question. So the broker knows all of the information, but all of these don't know any information about the other vessels. So we realized, okay, we can access all of the vessels. So maybe we can present to the Stena, hey, here are the vessels from the competitors that can access that point. And they said, oh man, this is a great idea. It would be great if we can have that kind of information because it gives us a competitive advantage. And then, okay, we said, let's try to do it, and there is a solution. Basically, for all of these vessels, you need to calculate if they can come to that point in a certain period of time. So first thing that you do is say, okay, we can just circle around and exclude all of the vessels that we are sure cannot get there because they are too far away, and then focus on the smaller group of vessels. And then you have like 1,000 vessels. Fine, 1,000 vessels. Then for each of the 1,000 vessels, you go in and check what is the time to get to that port. So if you check all of these times, you need some kind of a solution for that, and there was a solution out there on the market that we tried, and we tried to query for, I don't know, 1,000 vessels, and they called us. They said, hey, you're overstepping your limit. Literally called us. So we said, okay, can we pay more to get more information, to get the ability to query the database? And they said, no, you cannot. I mean, how we cannot? Well, we are not supporting that kind of requests. We used to work, this is the critical point for digital transformation. We used to work with the companies, and we are still working with the companies that are manually calculating the routes. So you come in, you click on a point and another point for that vessel, then you wait 3 seconds to 30 seconds to 3 minutes sometimes if the route is complicated, and you get the response back. This is their business model, and they didn't want to change that. They didn't see the opportunity. And we said, okay, there is a great opportunity here if we can, based on all of this historical data, and we have 6 years worth of historical data, create the solution that is going to give us the answer to the question that we had before. So fast forward 2 years. We are now in a position, and for the last 3 or 4 months, this solution is actually in production. We are now in a position to give our customers or customers of this solution ability to get the call from the broker and say, hey, I need a cargo transported from this port, and he says, okay, how's your wife? How's your kids? They know each other very much. And in the meantime, they can calculate and see all of the competitor vessels, where they are hooking up to the port, which of his vessels can get there and say, hey, I can get one vessel here and it's going to cost you like this if you go east or like that if you go west. So basically, we completely transformed the way they work. They have competitive advantage, they can respond very fast to the requests, they create such an enormous value. The second thing that we did with this is that we were able to take a number of different sources of information and combine them in a way to optimize the routes for the vessels for that company, which is saving them a lot of carbon footprint that they are creating where they're creating the vessel, moving the oil all over the world. So we have an environmental impact. There are a number of other things that we are working right now that are based on this solution. But this one point, this one solution, this one thing that we saw that is going to enable us to create a number of different things is actually something that unlocked unlimited possibilities. And this is the true digital transformation. You're creating new value for your customers, and you're creating new value for the end customers. Funny thing about this, when we presented the idea for the first time to them, they refused it. They didn't want to do this because it was too expensive for them at that point. They had the budget, they had the plan, everything was sorted out, they had approval from the board, and until the next year, they don't want to invest anything into this. So I approached our management and say, hey, this is a great idea, we need to do this. So we invested probably $500,000 or more even into this solution to develop it. And we had an arrangement with them. If we develop it, if it succeeds, then we are going to get equity share in the company, which actually happened. So the thing is that you need, and I'm speaking now to you from the bottom of my heart, to be creative and to be very brave in some of the decisions that you're making. You are in a position where your knowledge can be influencing the world. So you have a team of people that is sitting in Belgrade and in Nis, and it is reducing a huge amount of carbon footprint just because they came up with this solution at one point. So the impact that you are making and that you could be making in the future just depends on the creativity that you have and the boldness, basically, to question the status quo. So I noticed that the air is really, really polluted here. There are probably a number of things that you can do, and I can guarantee you that 99.99% of those solutions are not going to be there. But maybe that one percentile is something that you actually can do and something that can actually succeed. So I want to show you just another slide. It's very hard now to see that, but maybe you can see it on this screen over here. This is a comparison between the routes that you get from the regular system and the route that you get from the system that we created. So basically, this route here is the regular system that was used before. This route here is the new route. So the difference between these two routes is that you see these red squares or red areas here. These are called high-risk areas. And believe it or not, these are high-risk areas because you have pirates. So it's around Nigeria and the Red Sea over there and this part. So usually if you go there, you need to have a special kind of insurance, etc. So our system actually now allows us that once you have a new area popping in, so for example, a vessel is hijacked by pirates, immediately you will see that other vessels are going around this area. And by going around this area, we are recording this data from other vessels and we are remapping our solution on the fly. So not intervention from the person, but intervention from the data that we are gathering. And we are able basically to allow the navigators and the people that are deciding which way to take the route to take the best possible route based on the data that you get. And here you can see that this solution is still routing through this high-risk area because it's static. So this is, you can see that with just a small idea that originated as a very small POC and created a product after it, and then launching it into some other products, you get so much different value just from that small thing. And as I told tomorrow to the people, this morning, to some of you here, this is maybe 10% of the things that you're doing and that you will be doing in your career. 90% of the things that you're going to do are going to be boring. So I completely am sure about it, unless you're working in a research institution and you're always working on some cutting-edge technology. But usually, if you're working in the industry, 90% of it is boring, but this 10% actually makes up for this 90%. And when you're choosing your careers and moving forward, think about the impact that you can make on the society, on the people that you work with, on the society, through the products and digital products that you build. And I think that we as software engineers, and where you have a global market, basically are blessed with that possibility to influence the world in our society in such a way. Great thing is that I learned to use this, or it started to work. And I would like to ask you to ask questions. I really hope that I didn't bore you to death. Yes.
Hello. So my name is Mateo. I was today at your workshop, and first of all, thank you. It was really amazing. And I have a question. So I found out that sometimes maybe as a software engineer student, I'm more focused about the programming language that I work on or the frameworks instead of just trying to focus more on problem solving. And I want to ask you if you have some advice. If I want to learn a new programming language, I know how to do it, okay? It's easy, or a new framework or anything. But how can we as software engineering students be better at problem solving? What is your advice to it?
First of all, it's a very complex question. I work at the Faculty of Electronic Engineering in Nis, so I know the other side of the story, or how we teach, or how our programs are formed. The problem that we are having is that you have 80% of the things that you must teach, and you have a small amount of 20% that you can wiggle around. So I tend to wiggle around as much as possible and basically present the problems, the similar problems that you solved this morning. Basically, I'm presenting to my students as well. So there is part of the education that is created, I don't have a better term, but for the masses. So if you need to ensure a certain level of knowledge that can be acquired over the period of time, you have to have programs, you have to have exams, and you need to be able to basically control it in some way. But this is, in my opinion, killing creativity. I personally had a real luck in my life, and I must say that luck is playing a very significant role in the lives of successful people, and there is a proof for that. I was lucky to be part of the Petnica Science Center. I don't know if anyone of you know about that. This is a small, Petnica is a small village next to Valjevo in Western Serbia, and you have even smaller science center where you go as a kid, as a high school student. And there you get presented with completely new way of thinking. So my first day there, I had a question from my mentor at that time. He asked from us to give him an algorithm of how a robot will actually cook coffee for you. And you end up, after 5 hours, covering all of the possible use cases and edge cases and corner cases, and trying to come up with a solution, how to explain to the very stupid machine how to do things. This is, for example, this small task was just mind-blowing for me and very opening to understand that problem-solving skills are very, very important. So it's a thing where you need to find the creativity and you need to find the inspiration in other things that are just programming. If you just learn the skills, that's completely fine. And you are going to be excellent in performing certain tasks. But you need to broaden your knowledge. You need to read books that are completely outside of the spectrum of what you do. There are a number of books that you can read about different things. My interest in the last couple of years is the brain, how the brain functions. Just because of that problem, it's at 20 years I'm bothered with that question that I got the first day. So basically, and I needed to understand how the brain works, because none of the tools that we are using today that we call AI are actually not AI. And I found out that there are many other people that basically have the same question. And I started reading books, listening to the webinars, trying to understand how actually the brain works. And I finally have some clue about it, but some vague clue. Hopefully I'll have more time when I'm retired to learn more about it.
Thank you.
I'm Belma. Thank you, Darko, for your presentation today. My question would be, so I didn't understand your business model. So do companies come to you to look for digitalizations? Or do you seek the companies and you offer them digitalization solutions? And also another question is, how do you break the entry barrier in sales? So in case if you do sell your digitalization products, how do you sell them and how do you break people not wanting to change?
Can I start with the second question? Okay, so how you choose the champions inside of the company. You choose the champions that are completely supportive of new technology, and you choose the people that are completely against new technology. And this is your team. So you need to have conflicted views inside of a company. So what we do, we consult first with the senior management to say, hey, we need support from you. So this was the case in Stena Bulk as well. Basically, they were doing their business in the way they do it, with a lot of hardcore parties at the end of the year and phone calls. This is how they operate. And we sat down with each of them from different departments to understand how they operate really, realistically, map the data, map the processes, and everything else that you do basically when you create new products. But the second thing was we picked up a couple of people and said, hey, it would be great if we can talk to these people occasionally, month interval or couple of months interval. And then the first version that we had, we sat down with them and say, hey, can you use this? How do you feel about this? So you need to have a lot of interaction. And when we start and embark on these digital transformation projects, we always ask for the time of the people that are going to be the champions that we choose. So how do we sell? We sell differently. We sell through referral network. We sell through word of mouth. We sell through, it's basically always proactive sales, so we don't get inbounds. Our website is the worst website for the software engineering company ever, my opinion. Sorry, Katja. And we didn't present our capabilities in the right way just because we just have enough work at our plate right now. But I think that we definitely can do that and we will become better over time. Hope you're satisfied with the answer. Great.
Hello, my name is Miralem, and I'm interested about the Stena company. Did they, in the end, become the #1 shipping company in the world? Because you mentioned that was their big objective in 2016. And if you're still in this shipping, I mean ferry industry, can you maybe share us some of experiences? Because after the pandemic, they say like the ferry transport become way much more expensive. And how is that? How does that relate to the industry of worldwide shipping with the ferries and vessels, etc.? So.
Okay, so two components to the question. First one, they didn't want to become the largest company. Maersk is the largest, so basically that spot is taken. But they wanted to become the first cognitive shipping company to make decisions with the help of AI. And they achieved that goal with this tool that we built. And they didn't want to build it. But these kind of things you need to fight with the people that you work with. The second part of the question, how the industry was hit. So you have cargo transport, bulk cargo transport. This company does that. You have cargo transport in containers, and you have people transport. Basically, these are ferries that you usually see in the small seas or something like that. Ferries lost the business drastically because people stopped traveling. They didn't go to work. They didn't go to vacations, etc. So that was really badly hit. But the problem that we saw is the supply chains. So the complete supply chain is disturbed because, as I told you, we live like one organism. So if you take your health, for example, so if one part of your body is not functioning like it is supposed to be functioning, everything else tends to fail in a cascade. So this happened also to supply chains. Then you had a lot of oscillations in the supply demand and chains. The companies started buying a lot of, for example, automotive companies started buying a lot of silicon, chips and everything else just to make sure that they have for a longer period, because China was the first one to be hit. Then they overproduced, then they bought, these big companies bought a lot of chips, and then other companies had trouble actually buying their supplies. So everything became one complete mess, which we are still experiencing today. So nothing drastically happened with the capacity that is needed to transport the goods over the sea. What happened is that the supply and demand of those goods completely changed the dynamics of it. And imagine that these companies, as I told you, operate on a phone, on a notebook, etc. So they don't have centralized data, they don't have connected APIs, they cannot see the trends in the market, they cannot react fast enough. And it takes you 2 years to build a vessel. So basically you need to work with the same fleet that you have, but you need to optimize it. So these kind of solutions actually allow you to optimize. There are many, many different things that we did here that are actually helping these companies optimize their cargo transport.
Hello, I'm Faris Begic. Thank you for the presentation. I wanted to ask you about this project, to be exact. How did this idea feel at the beginning? Have you ever thought about giving up on it? So did that thing scare you at the beginning? Was it when you were doing something for the first time? How do you deal with those situations? Do you have fear of doing it? And do you ever ask yourself, can I do it actually?
No. But this is the honest answer, actually. Because when we got the idea, somehow after going back to the mind, so after, you know, when you train basketball, so when you first go to a basketball court and try to hit the kosh, how is that in English? Yeah, basket. So actually makes sense. So when you do that for the first time, the thing is that you miss. But then if some of you trained, you get these basic things that you do, and over the period of time you connect it into the full move, then you do the tricks and everything else, and it comes seamlessly. But this is a training process. You're actually training your brain to do something. So after 10 or 15 years of being in similar situations and seeing how other people react, how you reacted, which mistakes did you make, you kind of have that feeling that this is going to pan out good. But actually that is not the feeling. This is the experience that you have over the period of time. You back it up with a little bit of facts. You have trust in your people. I didn't do this. This wasn't my idea. I only supported them basically to do it. So we found the opportunity. You know, sometimes our people are a little bit shy. They see the opportunities, they see the ideas, they see the place where they can improve and do something better. But usually it's like, it would be great that we make this, and they drink coffee and it ends up like this. So basically, and they do nothing about it. So because I don't know why, but I think that there is a problem in our complete society here, basically. What we wanted to do, I saw that, I talked to those people, and I asked them, hey, do you think this is feasible? No, are you able to do this? Are you completely sure? Is this feasible? Something that remotely can be done like this. And they were like, yeah, maybe, I think so. And then you start thinking about it and you see that it might work. Then you take MATLAB, you do some couple of examples in a couple of days, hey, this actually might work. And then you reassure yourself. So instead of asking yourself, can I do it? Just do it. That's the motto.